If you've ever finished a ghost story and felt like something followed you out of the room, not loudly, not violently, but quietly like a presence you can't quite shake, then A Graveside Gallery may be exactly the kind of book you're looking for. Today we're talking about A Graveside Gallery, Tales of Ghosts and Dark Matters by Eric J. Guignard, a short story collection that leans away from cheap shocks and instead settles into something far more unsettling. Grief, memory, guilt, and the lingering weight of the dead. This is not fast horror. It's reflective horror, the kind that waits with you. This is Danny, and I'd like to welcome you to my Hidden Book Nook, where we discover and discuss hidden gems that go beyond the bestseller list, a quiet place for overlooked books. And today we're talking about A Graveside Gallery, Tales of Ghosts and Dark Matters by Eric J. Guignard. A Graveside Gallery is a collection of dark short fiction, ghost stories, yes, but also stories about what haunts us long before anything supernatural arrives. These are tales rooted in loss, regret, cultural memory, unresolved trauma, and the thin line between the living and the dead. Some stories are unmistakably supernatural. Others feel almost painfully human until something quietly shifts. What I appreciated most going in is that Guignard doesn't rush his scares. He builds atmosphere first, emotions second, and only then allows the strange to surface. This makes the collection feel cohesive, even though each story stands on its own. One of the strongest through lines in A Graveside Gallery is how the dead remain present. Not always as monsters, often as memories, as guilt, as unfinished conversations. Many characters in this collection are carrying something heavy before the supernatural ever appears. A terrible accident, a betrayal, a love they didn't protect, or a moment they can never undo. And when the ghost arrives, if it arrives at all, it doesn't feel random. It feels earned. There's also a strong sense of place in these stories. Roads, diners, homes, cemeteries, ordinary settings that feel deeply lived in. The author uses familiarity to disarm you before unsettling you. These are stories that ask, what do we owe the dead? And what do they still demand from us? Let's talk about the author's writing style, because this is where the collection truly shines. Guignard writes with controlled restraint. His prose is clear, intentional, and never overwritten, but it's also deeply textured. He has a way of slipping into a character's internal world, grounding scenes in sensory detail, and allowing emotion to do the heavy lifting. Rather than explaining fear, he lets it unfold. Dialogue feels natural, often understated, and incredibly revealing. Characters sound like real people, tired people, grieving people, people trying to hold it together. There's also a strong cinematic quality to his pacing. Scenes unfold visually, almost like quiet horror films playing behind your eyes. What makes Guignard's storytelling especially effective is his respect for ambiguity. He trusts the reader. Not everything is spelled out. Not every question is answered. And that restraint creates lingering unease. Some stories end not with a bang, but with a realization. A quiet moment when you suddenly understand what's been happening all along. There's also a literary confidence here. Guignard blends horror with emotional realism and cultural texture, especially in stories that draw from folklore, grief rituals, and personal history. You can tell this is an author who understands both the mechanics of horror and the psychology behind it. This is horror that stays with you not because it shocks, but because it feels true. While I won't spoil individual stories, I will say that the strongest pieces in this collection tend to revolve around everyday people in extraordinary emotional states, moments of irreversible choice, and encounters with death that feel intimate, not sensational. There are stories here that feel almost like modern folklore, stories that could be told in hushed voices and still feel believable. What impressed me most is the consistency. There are no weak filler stories. Each piece contributes to the overall tone of the collection. This makes A Graveside Gallery feel curated rather than simply assembled. This book is for readers who enjoy atmospheric horror, literary ghost stories, slow burn unease, emotionally grounded dark fiction. If you're looking for nonstop action, graphic gore, or fast jump scare horror, this may not be the collection for you. But if you love stories that sit with you, that make you pause before turning the lights out, A Graveside Gallery is well worth your time. This book is for readers who enjoy atmospheric horror, literary ghost stories, slow burn unease, emotionally grounded dark fiction. If you're looking for nonstop action, graphic gore, or fast jump scare horror, this may not be the collection for you. But if you love stories that sit with you, that make you pause before turning the lights out, A Graveside Gallery is well worth your time. A Graveside Gallery feels like walking through a quiet cemetery at dusk. Not frightening at first, but deeply aware that you are not alone. Eric J. Guignard proves himself here as a master of subtle horror and emotional storytelling. This is a collection I'll be revisiting, not to be scared, but to be reminded of how powerful, well-crafted dark fiction can be. If you've read A Graveside Gallery, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, especially which story stayed with you the longest. And if you enjoy thoughtful, lesser-known books that deserve more attention, consider subscribing to Hidden Book Nook. Until next time, keep exploring the shelves where the quiet stories wait.